Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the world of graphics cards, the beating heart of any gaming PC. With new releases and ever-evolving technology, choosing the right GPU can feel overwhelming. But fear not, gamers, because we're breaking down the top 5 graphics cards of 2024 to help you level up your gaming experience. Prices and links of graphic cards will be included in the description below. 5. Radeon RX 7900 XTX. AMD's Radeon RX 7900 XTX rates as the fastest graphics card from AMD and lands near the top of the charts, with a generational price bump to match. Officially priced at $999, the least expensive models now start at around $930, and supply has basically caught up to demand. There's good reason for the demand, as the 7900 XTX comes packing AMD's latest RDNA 3 architecture. That gives the 7900 XTX a lot more potential compute, and you get 33% more memory and bandwidth as well. Compared to the RX 6950 XT, on average, the new GPU is 44% faster at 4K, though that shrinks to 34% at 1440p and just 27% at 1080p. It also delivers that performance boost without dramatically increasing power use or graphics card size. AMD remains a potent solution for anyone that doesn't care as much about ray tracing. And when you see the massive hit to performance for often relatively mild gains in image fidelity, we can understand why many feel that way. Still, the number of games with RT support continues to grow, and most of those also support Nvidia's DLSS technology, something AMD hasn't fully countered, even if FSR2/FSR3 can at times come close. If you want the best DXR/RT experience right now, Nvidia still wins hands down. AMD's GPUs can also be used for professional and content creation tasks, but here things get a bit hit and miss. Certain apps in the SP Viewer suite run great on AMD hardware, others come up short. However, if you want to do AI or deep learning research, there's no question Nvidia's cards are a far better pick. For this generation, the RX 7900 XTX is AMD's fastest option, and it definitely packs a punch. If you're willing to step down to the 7900 XT, that's also worth considering. See below, as it tends to be priced quite a bit lower. 4. GeForce RTX 4090. For some, the best graphics card is the fastest card. Pricing be damned. Nvidia's GeForce RTX 4090 caters to precisely this category of user. It was also the debut of Nvidia's Ada Lovelace architecture and represents the most potent card Nvidia has to offer, possibly until 2025, when the next generation GPUs are rumored to arrive. Note also that pricing of the RTX 4090 has become quite extreme, with most cards now selling above $2,000 thanks to the China RTX 4090 export restrictions. If you don't already have a 4090, you're probably best off giving it a pass now. The RTX 4090 creates a larger gap between itself and the next closest Nvidia GPU. Across our suite of gaming benchmarks, it's 37% faster overall than the RTX 4080 at 4K, and 33% faster than the RTX 4080 Super. It's also 51% faster than AMD's top-performing RX 7900 XTX, though it also costs nearly twice as much online right now. Let's be clear about something. You really need a high refresh rate 4K monitor to get the most out of the RTX 4090. At 1440p, its advantage over a 4080 shrinks to 24%, and it's only 15% at 1080p, and that includes some demanding DXR games. The lead over the RX 7900 XTX also falls to only 32% at 1080p. Not only do you need a high-resolution, high-refresh rate monitor, but you'll also want the fastest CPU possible to get the most out of the 4090. 3. GeForce RTX 4070. Nvidia's RTX 4070 didn't blow us away with extreme performance or value, but it's generally equal to the previous generation RTX 3080, comes with the latest Ada Lovelace architecture and features, and costs about $100 less. Now, with the launch of the RTX 4070 Super, see above, it also got a further price cut, and the lowest cost cards start at around $530. Nvidia rarely goes after the true value market segment, but with the price adjustments brought about with the recent 40 series Super cards, things are at least reasonable. The RTX 4070 can still deliver on the promise of ray tracing and DLSS upscaling. It only uses 200 W of power, often less, and in raw performance it outpaces AMD's RX 7800 XT, slightly slower in rasterization, faster in ray tracing, plus it has DLSS support. Nvidia is always keen to point out how much faster the RTX 40 series is once you enable DLSS 3 frame generation. As we've said elsewhere, these generated frames aren't the same as real frames and increase input latency. It's not that DLSS 3 is bad, but we prefer to compare non-enhanced performance, and in terms of feel, we'd say DLSS 3 improves the experience over the baseline by perhaps 10 to 20%, not the 50100% you'll see in Nvidia's performance charts. The choice between the RTX 4070 and the above RTX 4070 Super really comes down whether you're willing to pay a bit more for proportionately higher performance, or if you'd rather save money. The two offer nearly the same value proposition otherwise, with the 4070 Super costing 13% more while offering 16% higher performance on average. 2. Radeon RX 7800 XT. The Radeon RX 7800 XT uses the AMD RDNA 3 architecture and the Navi 32 GPU, and in our view, it's the best overall pick of Team Red's current lineup. That's assuming you're like us and tend to want a great 1440p gaming experience while spending as little as possible. There are definitely faster GPUs, and the 7800 XT only ends up tying the previous generation RX 6900 XT, but it does so while cutting the price in half and beats the lowest street price we ever saw by over $100 as well. Efficiency has been a bit hit or miss with RDNA 3, but the 7800 XT is one of the better options. It uses about 50W less power than the 6900 XT while delivering roughly the same level of performance, and it's a very capable card overall. It also adds AV1 encoding support and DP 2.1 video output, plus improved compute and AI capabilities. It's about 45% faster than the 6900 XT in Stable Diffusion, for example. AMD continues to offer more bang-of-the-buck in rasterization games than Nvidia, though it also falls behind in ray tracing, sometimes far behind in games like Alan Wake 2 that support full path tracing. Is that something you want to try? It doesn't radically change the gameplay, though it can look better overall. If you're curious about fully path trace games, including future RTX Remix mods, Nvidia remains the best option. Otherwise, AMD's rasterization performance on the 7800 XT ends up beating the 4070 but slightly trailing the 4070 Super. We're also at the point where buying a new GPU that costs over $500 means we really want to see 16 gigabytes of memory. Yes, Nvidia fails in that regard, though in practice it seems as though Nvidia roughly matches AMD's 16 gigabytes cards with 12 gigabytes offerings. There are exceptions, of course, but the RX 7800 XT still checks all the right boxes for a high-end graphics card that's still within reach of most gamers. 1. GeForce RTX 4070 Super. Nvidia just refreshed its 40 series lineup with the new Super models. Of the three, the RTX 4070 Super will be the most interesting for the most people. It inherits the same $599 MSRP as the non-Super 4070, which has dropped to $549 to keep it relevant, with all the latest features of the Nvidia Ada Lovelace architecture. It's slightly better than a linear boost in performance relative to price, which is as good as you can hope for these days. Unlike some of the other models, the RTX 4070 Super also seems to have plenty of base MSRP models available at retail. We like the stealthy black aesthetic of the Founders Edition, and it runs reasonably cool and quiet, but third-party cards with superior cooling are also available, sometimes at lower prices than the reference card. The 4070 Super bumps core counts by over 20% compared to the vanilla 4070, and in our testing we found that the general lack of changes to the memory subsystem doesn't impact performance as much as you might expect. It's still 16% faster overall, at 1440p, even with the same VRAM capacity and bandwidth, though helped by the 33% increase in L2 cache size. Compared to the previous generation Ampere GPUs, even with less raw bandwidth, the 4070 Super generally matches or beats the RTX 3080 Ti and delivers clearly superior performance than the RTX 3080. What's truly impressive is that it can do all that while cutting power use by over 100W. There you have it, folks. These are the top 5 graphics cards to consider in 2024, empowering you to conquer any game and unleash your inner champion. Remember, the best card for you depends on your budget, gaming preferences, and resolution. For more detailed comparisons, benchmarks, and buying advice, check out the links in the description below. Thanks for watching, and happy gaming!